Nestle presents itself as a company built on nourishment. Founded in 1866 by Henri Nestlé in Switzerland, the company began with infant formula designed to save babies who could not be breastfed. Today, Nestle is the largest food and beverage company in the world, operating in over 180 countries and generating tens of billions in annual revenue. Its brands fill supermarket shelves, from KitKat and Nescafé to bottled water and baby formula. But behind the comforting image of nutrition and family lies a history filled with controversy. Allegations of unethical marketing, water extraction disputes, child labor claims, environmental damage, legal battles across continents. Over decades, Nestle has faced accusations that its growth strategy prioritized market dominance over ethical boundaries. The company denies wrongdoing in many of these cases and points to sustainability initiatives and reforms. Yet, the controversies persist. And when a corporation controls so much of the global food supply, every decision carries enormous consequences. This is the story many consumers never see on the label. In the 1970s, Nestle faced one of the most damaging controversies in corporate history. The company aggressively marketed infant formula in developing countries, particularly across Africa and parts of Asia and Latin America. Sales representatives dressed in nurse-like uniforms distributed free samples to new mothers in hospitals. The problem emerged once those free samples ran out. Critics alleged that once mothers' natural milk supply decreased, they became dependent on formula, which many families could not consistently afford. In regions without access to clean water, formula mixed with contaminated water contributed to serious health risks. Public health advocates accused Nestle of exploiting vulnerable populations and contributing to infant malnutrition and mortality. In 1977, a global boycott of Nestle products began, becoming one of the most organized consumer protests of its time. The controversy eventually led to the World Health Organization adopting the International Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes in 1981. Nestle has stated that it supports the WHO code and complies with regulations. Yet watchdog groups have periodically accused the company of ongoing violations in certain markets. The formula that once symbolized life-saving innovation became the center of a global ethical debate. In the 2000s and 2010s, Nestle's bottled water operations sparked intense backlash in communities across North America and beyond. The company extracted groundwater from regions like Michigan, California, and Ontario, often paying relatively small fees for permits, and sold bottled water at significant markups. During California's historic drought between 2011 and 2017, critics questioned why Nestle continued pumping millions of gallons of water while residents were urged to conserve. Protests erupted. Environmental groups argued that water is a human right, not a commodity. In 2018, then Nestle chairman Peter Brabeck-Letmathy faced renewed criticism after comments resurfaced from a previous interview where he discussed water pricing and privatization. Although he later clarified that he supports universal access to drinking water, activists seized on the remarks as evidence of corporate overreach. Nestle has defended its water operations, stating that extraction levels are sustainable and regulated. However, the optics of a multinational corporation profiting from natural resources during water shortages intensified public distrust. Water sustains life, and when control over it becomes corporate, the backlash can be fierce. Another serious controversy involves Nestle's cocoa supply chain. For years, reports have documented child labor in West African cocoa farms, particularly in Ivory Coast and Ghana, regions that supply much of the world's chocolate. In the early 2000s, investigations revealed that children were working in hazardous conditions on cocoa farms, supplying major chocolate companies including Nestle. In 2001, the Harkin-Engel Protocol was signed by industry leaders to address and eliminate the worst forms of child labor in cocoa production. Yet progress has been slow. Lawsuits filed in U.S. courts allege that Nestle and other companies knowingly benefited from forced labor conditions. In 2021, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against plaintiffs in one such case on jurisdictional grounds, not on the merits of the allegations themselves. Nestle maintains that it does not tolerate child labor and has implemented monitoring systems and community programs aimed at reducing exploitation. But critics argue that complex global supply chains make enforcement difficult and that voluntary initiatives are insufficient. Chocolate remains sweet. The sourcing remains complicated. Nestle is one of the largest food producers in the world, and with that scale comes environmental impact. Plastic waste from bottled water and packaged foods has drawn sustained criticism. Nestle has consistently ranked among top global plastic polluters in environmental audits conducted by advocacy groups. The company has pledged to make 100% of its packaging recyclable or reusable by certain target dates, and has invested in sustainability initiatives. But activists argue that recycling alone does not address the volume of plastic produced. Beyond plastic, concerns extend to deforestation linked to palm oil sourcing and carbon emissions from agricultural supply chains. Nestle has made public commitments to reach net zero emissions by 2050, yet watchdog organizations continue to scrutinize implementation timelines. Large corporations often move slowly. Environmental systems respond quickly. The tension between scale and sustainability remains unresolved. As inflation surged globally in 2022 and 2023, Nestle raised prices across many product categories. The company cited increased raw material and transportation costs. Financial reports showed strong revenue growth, even as consumers faced rising grocery bills. Critics accused large food corporations of using inflation as cover to expand profit margins, a charge Nestle denied. Executives stated that pricing adjustments reflected operational realities, not opportunism. Public trust in multinational food companies has declined in recent years, driven by perceptions of concentrated market power. Nestle's portfolio spans baby food, coffee, frozen meals, bottled water, and pet care. When one company touches so many daily purchases, pricing decisions feel personal. The debate is not simply about profit, it's about balance between shareholder returns and consumer welfare. Nestle has not ignored criticism. The company has launched sustainability campaigns, invested in regenerative agriculture, committed to reducing sugar in products, and expanded transparency reporting. It regularly publishes SG reports outlining environmental and social goals. Supporters argue that engaging with large corporations is more productive than boycotting them. With global supply chains as vast as Nestle's, change requires internal reform rather than external collapse. Skeptics remain cautious. Corporate pledges are often long-term. Accountability depends on consistent oversight, and trust, once eroded, is difficult to restore. Nestle today is not the same company it was in the 1970s, but the controversies of its past continue to shape public perception. Nestle feeds billions of people. It produces products that families rely on daily. It operates research centers, invests in innovation, and contributes to economies worldwide. But it also represents the immense power concentrated in global food systems. When a single corporation influences water access, infant nutrition, agricultural supply chains, and grocery prices, scrutiny becomes inevitable. The infant formula scandal, the water disputes, the child labor allegations, the environmental impact. Each controversy adds a layer to Nestle's complex legacy. The company insists it is evolving. Critics insist vigilance is necessary. Perhaps both can be true, because when food, water, and basic necessities intersect with corporate scale, the stakes are never small. And sometimes, the most ordinary products carry the most complicated stories.